Just a quick intro before we get started. This video is actually something I did, and I think it was about 2021 and has remained unuploaded until now. I just will warn you, there's a sudden drop in quality because of that. It was using the old camera, so sorry about that, nothing really I can do. This is quite an important video to upload before something that's going to happen on Sunday, and I'm extremely late with it. So this was supposed to be uploaded about a week ago, but still, I hope you enjoy. Over to me. Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, and welcome to another video. Technically, this is actually the first of 2021. What you see before you is a selection of new parts. As what the title says, this is going to be a new video regarding the 98 machine, because let's be honest, it's not been going the best. Since you last saw it, it should have been the machine I was going to be playing a lot of games on. Well, no, actually, there's a lot of games just simply don't work. Don't know why, since I played them when I was a kid, but there's a few things that I'm going to change on it, as well as a few things I'm going to add that should hopefully make things more convenient. I've already had to rebuild the hard drive once after something happened where the resolution changed and it would not go back, despite going in a safe mode. Don't know why that was, so all of these lovely parts here, if we ever need to rebuild the system again, should help us make things a lot easier. I won't actually in this case be individually showing each one before we get started, but I'll be doing it as we come up to each individual fitting, for example. That's probably going to make things go a little bit quicker, and yeah, I won't be bogged down with actually introducing these things. But first, we need to get it on the desk. So the first thing I need to do is put the ports back, and I say this is the first thing I need to do because it's kind of difficult to get. You've literally got to take the whole front panel off. You've got to pull it after loosening about 6 screws. There's 3 on either side, and honestly, I took it off for a stupid reason. This is what I took off, which is the front mounted ports. I thought I'm never really going to use these because initially this cable here, or the one that came in the case, was actually one that was split at the end. So it had a solid end on here and this bit was split, and I was like, am I heck going to figure that one out to put into the board? And I'm probably going to put it in the wrong place, knowing me, so I thought just take the whole lot out. That was kind of stupid because I'd always intended to find one that was solid at both ends, and by pulling this out, I didn't need to do it, but now I've got the annoyance of having to put it back. Great idea, Stephen. What a wonderful thought. So there's the tiny little screws on the front, and I've got, as I said, there's about 6 of them. So I'm just going to get them off, otherwise I'll probably just swear an awful lot, and then that means we can get better access to the front to put that thing on that I shouldn't have removed in the first place. Whey! And that pretty much is that, I think. Hold on. Oh yeah. This was the trouble the first time. This is... whoa. It's going to be awkward, but that's how you get that off. So because of the way that is, I've got to be careful on how I do this. So this is kind of like perched on the edge of the desk, and I've got to try and fit this in. However, that went. Okay. Hold on. There we go. Slides in. How handy. See, if you ever have this problem here, where you feel like you might not use stuff in the front panel, oops, I would definitely recommend that you don't take it out, because there's really no point, as it wasn't causing you any harm in the first place, so just leave it. Top tip. First one in, and the front panel connectors are back. Now this is the part which is a little bit difficult. I've got to try and... oh, maybe not, actually. Yeah, I can feed that through here. Actually, it was easier than I thought. Okay, that's fine. Now the connections for the USB header are under here somewhere, but we're not going to do that quite yet, as there's something else I need to do before I put the front panel on, which is going to be one of the next. But there's lots of things which are sort of like to do with each other that I have to do, so that's just going to be left in there for the moment, but I'll direct your attention to the front of the case again. Now I've gone handheld because there's something we need to do here. We need to punch out this section, because because we're going to put something in there. But I may need to do this with either I think a pair of clippers should probably do it. Something like this. Ooh. May have damaged them. Done. And now we do a reverse journey where we basically just put all of the screws in here. Hopefully I don't drop them in any holes, because that will be bad. And also very annoying, because I'd have to pull the front off again. Don't want to do that. Okay, so I can actually see the port now. Although I'm not entirely sure if that actually is the port. And I say that because the section is not in the right place. You see the missing pin is in the top right, and yet this is also in the top right as well. That is probably a firewire pin. Was this completely pointless? Using the extremely good optical zoom on this camera, as you can see, so my finger is, that quite clearly says USB 01. So what in the hell is this cable? This should be the opposite. The blanked out section is precisely where the pin is on the top right. Well, it turns out I'm actually not the one who's going crazy. There's something about this motherboard, because if you look at this picture, see, I've turned the cable so that the gap is in the bottom left, the pin that isn't there. Look at which pin's missing on this image here. It's a very crude way I'm doing this, but I'm just showing you very quickly. If that were turned around, see which way this is going? Guess where the blank pin would go? Exactly where this is. And this is a real shot of a motherboard. That's basically the way it looks. The SATA ports only ever point to that side. This is the front panel connector. This is just some generic board from this information picture of like a header adapter. This motherboard is strange. Presumably that connector that I took out was actually something I should have just left in there and tried to wire it up as per the motherboard instructions, but I thought this would be simple, but obviously not. So to hell with the header, that's not going to be put in this system this time around. So moving swiftly on to something that I can actually change and can actually do something with is this. It's a sound card, it's a Sound Blaster Live, but what's that? That's also a Sound Blaster Live. There's two key differences on the card. I think we need to get them out and just have a look. Okay, these are the two cards I have. This one is what came out, and this one here is the one that's going to actually be going in. Main difference is the one that was in there before, if you viewed the other videos, is a Sound Blaster Live 5.1 digital, SB0220. Difficult card to get going, but never mind. This one is a Sound Blaster Live CT4830. It's also digital. Now, it is missing this, but I found that's actually not required because you can still get digital through it. For all this does say digital, I may be completely wrong, or I may have picked it up incorrectly, but that says digital out or whatever, because this could be a multi-channel setup using analog connections. But from what I understand, there isn't an easy way to get digital out of this. In this one, I wrongly assumed that I could do something that I'm about to show you, the digital mod where you can connect the pins on the side of the card. Well, you can, but just not this one, because when I got the card out a while ago, I was realizing there isn't any. Curiously though, there is a section marked SPDIF IO, which does look like there could have been something to do with it, but they just didn't add it. Anyway, this card is completely different. It does have, well, I say completely different, it's not, it's still a Sound Blaster Live, it's got much the same stuff on it, same chip, but it has all of these, and it's some of these pins along here which are responsible for digital output. And yes, as I say, it doesn't have that, but that's actually fine, it doesn't need it. This is probably a lot easier to get going in the way that I want it to be than the other card. So to heck with it, I'm just going to swap it out and we'll get sweet digital out of this, probably. To achieve that, we've got this thing here which I've kept wrapped up in its anti-static bag. So that is going to be way easier. It comes with this little DuPont style loom. I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. That is literally just a plate. It's got optical and coaxial. No active componentry whatsoever. And with this card, you are able to actually connect it up. And that's it, digital sound. And that's what mine looks like. My colours were different, but essentially I've done exactly the same thing as him. This card actually has the indications on the inside of what that's supposed to be. So there's ground, I've chosen as black, SPDIF as white, and then the 5-volt signal is brown. Doesn't really matter so long as they correspond to this. And with Phil's guide here, all these different pins, the names of them go in exactly the right place. Let's get it in the actual machine. Just gotta be very, very, very careful because I don't snap anything off. That was actually really, really easy. And then there's this, then just goes underneath that. Fantastic. So this new sound card as well as the SPDIF adapter is in. Okay, so this is the next thing we're going to do, and as you can see I've also removed the blank cover because we're going to install a drive sled into here. I had a little bit of difficulty with the thing recently, and the solution to try and remedy it was very fiddly. So a while ago I'd actually changed this out. What I used to be using was like an M SATA on one of those adapters that brings it out to basically a 2.5-inch IDE hard drive, and then from there I used an adapter to take it out to a full-sized IDE 40-pin. That was a little bit janky, but also for such an idea of like backing up, for example, it would be a little bit difficult to do. My thought had been to essentially just change it to this, so what it means is I could then, in the event of needing to back up, I would just literally pull this off and then use my Sabrent hard drive adapter to then read it in my modern PC. Of course, where this PC is located now, which is right next to the wardrobe, which is in that direction, the cable wasn't long enough, and even though I did buy an extension, I thought, to heck with it, I'm just going to do something which means I don't even have to open up the case from the outside. And that's one of these things. Apologies for the lighting, it's hard to get very good lighting in here. So what this is, essentially, it's just a drive sled. It literally just opens from the front, drive goes in, close it up. It's got SATA just like the other thing, so hopefully this will actually work, because this drive sled has had to be pulled out to the maximum extent in order for this drive adapter to go in. But from the looks of things, this SATA connector, which I deliberately got one that was angled to the left, is actually further to the left than that thing, so it shouldn't hit off the side of the case. Alright, so might as well get this thing out now. Okay, so I think what I have to do is just pull it apart slightly, and there we go. I put the Hypertech back in because, well, why not? It's a pretty crummy SSD, so it may as well languish in here. Oh, this thing's scraping against other things and I don't like it. Right, we appear to be stuck. Oh, hold on. It is stuck on one of the sleds. Hold on a second. There you go, you just hit it. Right, now this is kind of a risk. Okay, I'm putting my new phone, well, newish phone in there to try and light it up. It's plugged in perfectly. Even better than the last one. When this thing was in there, I literally had to pull it as far back as it would go to make sure it would clear, and it only just did that. Let's try and put this in here, so that looks good. I know I haven't. It's me being stupid. That should be it. So any future hard drive backup things will be done that way. Fantastic. So you may notice there's actually something missing, something that goes right here. And that's the network card. You see, I took it out. Now, you're probably going to ask, well, why is it in your hand and not in the machine? This thing, unfortunately, seemed to get rejected like a bad transplant. Like, it had happened twice. It would be installed, and then all of a sudden, Windows was like, oh, by the way, you need to install this. And I was like, but it was installed. And this has happened on more than one occasion. I don't really know why. I mean, the drivers were difficult to find in the first place anyway. So I've decided to replace it with something different, something which hopefully might work. This Netgear card should work a lot better. The drivers are much easier to find for this, and this, as you can see, is sealed. It's brand spanking new, and I don't really know how. I wasn't actually looking for a brand new one, but this was on offer for £1.30, £3.20 post, so under a fiver for a brand new gigabit network card. Fantastic. And I know people are going to say, you don't need gigabit. I would like gigabit. That's why I've done it. So let's open it up. See, I'm recycling. I'm using the old blank to try and open this. I probably don't need to. There's something just so good about opening a brand new product like this. As I say, I'm surprised to find this brand new, but so be it. Oh, let's pull it out the side. There it is. There's the Netgear dude on that side. It's actually bigger than the other one. But whether it's bigger or not, it's definitely going to be better. Hopefully this will get us where we need to be. In the box you get, well, the usual CD and installation guide, which, well, you don't really need. I have the drivers, the latest ones at least, so I won't be using this. I'm only going to use this for grabbing files from a NAS, which is going to be a bit of a challenge to set up, but we shall try. Okay, so get that in. Easy as pie, totally not the second time I did that. And there we go. All plugged up. That pretty much concludes all the things we wanted to do. I'm a little disappointed about the USB thing, but it's the board that's at fault here. It's not actually the connector, because we compared that and everything's right. So I guess we're not going to be getting front panel USB, but whatever. We'll sort that out in due course. Okay, so the PC is back where it's supposed to be. Now it's time for some drivers and some testing. Okay, so I just powered it up, and we of course are very quickly greeted by this thing. We won't do that quite yet because I've got the drivers elsewhere on the system, so I'll just cancel that for the moment. And of course no sound. Let's try that out actually. Okay, I'm just going to turn on the digital output. Well, hey, it works. So if anyone's wondering how I'm actually doing this, I didn't actually mention it in the other video, or maybe I did, I can't actually even remember. I'm using this Lindy DVI plus SPDIF adapter, which gives a nice clean HDMI signal out. Nice and easy to capture, all that kind of stuff. Just makes it a ton easier to do. And what's interesting about this is I haven't even installed the specific drivers for this card. They must be similar enough that they just work, so I don't even think I'm going to bother, I'm just going to leave it like that. But we do have the Ethernet controller to install, so I'll just get the drivers for that, because I put them conveniently in a drivers folder. Along with these, which I probably don't even need anymore. That's it. Okay. Tell you what I think we should do. I think we should do one restart to hear that sweet, sweet intro music and just see if the driver thing is gone. Ooh, this looks positive. Ooh, yes, it's found it. And we appear to possibly have crashed. It's one of the hallmarks of this system. Oh, hang on. Yes. Okay, that worked. Right, now we're on the approach, I think. Oh yeah, there it is. Still got a bit of jumpiness in it. I don't really know why that's happening, but oh well. I mean, it looks alright. Got a little thing down here for the Netgear. Ooh, that's nice. It's got like a whole kind of thing to monitor stuff. There's a better way I could have said that. Well, that's cool. Now, we don't actually have any physical connection right now because there's a few things I need to set up. I'm going to try and do eventually where I connect this to my NAS. I mean, this actually turned out flawlessly. It bloody works. Okay, let's close that off for the time being. Right, so I think we're just about done. Yeah, I think we'll just go back to me then. Well, it's quite a while later. It's actually now nearing the end of June 2023. And I've sat on this video for quite a while, should have uploaded it, and well, I just didn't. As you can see, the Windows 98 machine is not in its usual place, because it's going to undergo a special transformation. It's kind of the time where, you know, I won't give too much away, you probably realise, by the time the next video is posted you will. It's going to get worked on quite a bit. The quality is a lot better now, of course we're using the newer camera, but I did have to sort of tune it, so there's a little bit more noise than usual. Whatever. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Join me tomorrow or the next day, whichever it is. Basically, it's Sunday the 25th of June for a very special video. Hopefully, I finish it. If I don't worry about it. We'll get to it eventually, just like everything else. But yeah, have a nice evening wherever you're at.